Hello, thank you for joining us. This is the first edition of the Serie Z Pod. Hopefully, there'll be a number two. We'll see how this one goes in the meantime. My name's Max Hall. I've launched Serie Z because I was laid off and I'm trying to make a few quid on the side. So here we are. That's me. I won't go into my background because none of you are interested in it. You're all here for the guests. And I won't embarrass them by asking them to introduce themselves. So, first of all, Craig Gregg, manager of Stourport Swifts, would you like to introduce Tony Gore to the world and tell us how you know him?
Well, I know Tony from back in the day when I used to play for Dudley Sports. Yeah, we go back a long way. Obviously, he knows a lot of people I know in the football. So yeah, top guy. Been around the non-league scene for probably as long as I've been alive. But yeah, he's a top guy. His son's a top guy as well. Good lad. So yeah, a lot of respect for him.
Okay. Sweeney, that was much nicer than I was expecting between you two. I thought the gloves were going to come off straight away. Sweeney, would you like to introduce Craig Gregg and tell us how you know him?
Yeah, down Craig years and years. Uh, I think I first met him for Sunday with at Rolling Mills or somebody like
Uh,
that. I think
Walliscut Villa, I think it would have been
it
maybe.
was.
Walliscut Villa, was it? Was it
Yeah,
Walliscut
yeah,
Villa?
yes, yeah. I remember seeing him play then. Very quick, a nightmare to mark. Always comes up with a goal, and he's doing very well in the management now. So you
How
know,
old was Craig when you first met him?
blimey. Uh, just a youngster,
16,
18, 17, 18.
Got you. And was he making
17, something
two-footed
like
tackles then?
So I'd be 20 then.
that.
Right. Okay. Well, we'll not pin you down on your mathematics at this stage then. Now, first question I wanted to ask to get the ball rolling was, as you may or may not know, I've been speaking to a lot of managers in the MFL this week, trying to get Serie Z up and running. I'm sure I've met Craig as a Town fan. I know he was part of the team that won promotion, so legendary contribution to the Town story. Um, so I'm sure I've met Craig in the past, but after I spoke to him, I got the quotes about Stourport Swifts and the season ahead. He went straight to the top of my list of people who I wanted to get in on the podcast because of what he told me about his second training session at Stourport Swifts. So, Craig, I'm going to kick back now and relax. Tell us what you brought to training nice and early on at Stourport.
um, I thought it'd be a good idea to bring some boxing gloves and a couple of head guards and set a couple of posts out and yeah, see what kind of characters I got at the training session
So,
moving
what
forward.
was the thinking behind this? What's your why do that?
Um, I think just to see what kind of characters, getting people out the comfort zone. Um, yeah, it was never to see who could fight or anything like that. It was just literally who could turn up and literally do something that they didn't want to do because you could see that like probably 99% of them would probably never put a pair of gloves on. And when they see them at the side of the pitch, they was like, hold on here, what's going on here? So obviously from a family with boxers, I know what it takes to get in there. And even something as trivial as what 15, 16 of their mates or footballers round the side with two people only for a minute punching each other's heads. Um, you can freeze or you can bob and weave and throw some shots back. But yeah, it was like you say, it was just some a bit spontaneous. I've never done it before when I managed my first managerial role, but I did think it was just something that just off the cuff, and I just wondered how they'd react for me, and it was quite intriguing, really, how the
I
lads took
guess
to it.
the obvious question is to ask you what your injury list's like at the start of the season.
There was some real. Well, put it this way, I won't be finding some of them up to back me up in a fight. To tell you that.
But it's about team spirit. And you were
Yeah,
saying when you'd been to Stourport in the past, it they weren't a low down and dirty side. It was never like that. And maybe you wanted to bring some of the dark arts in, have a bit of grit in the team, or am I
Yeah.
misquoting you?
Well, yes and no. Obviously, there's ways of doing that, isn't there, really? I ain't saying I want to go out and hurt anybody, but it's more the case of team bonding. Like if your mate's in there, you're in there, back your mate up into a challenge. Just that sort of mentality. And I think that was pretty much it, really. It was never to, like you say, I mean, Stourport has always been known for me as a nice club. I don't want it to become a club where, oh God, me, they're going to go down there and it's going to kick off because that ain't me. At the end of the day, if it does and another team brings that, then I'd like to think we could hold our own. But generally, that's just the game itself. Who knows how the game's going to materialise?
And Sweeney, what's your take on this? How often did you take boxing gloves and set up a boxing ring at the clubs you've been
I've
at?
never done that. I've never done that. We've done. We just sometimes if you've had a bad run or something like that, you'll have fun nights where it takes the pressure off the players, and you just have fun and games like over and under and things like that, tunnel ball, and just make it competitive, and it just brings the players focus on something different rather than thinking on all the bad runs. Or alternative, which used to get on the best, we just used to go in the club and have a couple of beers and then have a chat about it. And then it's amazing after a couple of beers how easy players seem to speak about the game.
I
But
mean,
I've never.
we
Sorry.
need a bit more, don't we? A question to both of you, really. We need a bit more than just team spirit. Obviously, team spirit's important. And when Craig was speaking to me straight away, I'm listening because I'm a big fan of the Wimbledon team in the 90s. Vinnie Jones, Fash the Bash. That's what I'm all about. That's what I like to see in my football, although it doesn't really exist anymore. And they had a team spirit that was fireproof, bomb-proof. But you need more than that, don't you? I mean, coaching is about a lot more than that, isn't it? Than just having the team spirit there, right?
I think it's a big thing. You can have all the coaching in the world. You can have the best coaches in the world. If the lads ain't got any grit, determination, and team spirit, then they ain't going to learn. The best players are the ones, or for me, I've never been in a position where I've had big budgets to work with, so you have to get like this team spirit. And I think a little bit what Craig says, that your mates back you up in, not, I don't mean in a fight. If you just kick off, then you go in. But I mean in tackles and encouragement and stuff like that. You know, for me, it was all about players working hard, encouraging each other, getting around each other, and the team spirit. Team spirit's massive. For me, it's massive. It's one of the most important things. Yeah, they've got to have some ability, obviously, but team spirit. It's amazing. In the changing rooms, in recent years, they've started bringing radios and speakers into the changing rooms, which is okay. Couldn't understand some of the records, but if they wanted that
Tell that.
in, if it helps, whatever you can do to help get better results, there ain't a good way, there ain't a bad way, there ain't a right way, there ain't a wrong way. It's
Do you,
how what works for you.
do you both think it's maybe gone a bit far the other way in terms of coaching? Because the coaching has come on massively in the past few decades at every level of the game. The systems, the positioning, especially now it's all passing and passing out from the back and triangles. The coaching has come on in leaps and bounds. Do you think we've
I
gone a little
personally,
bit too far and lost a bit of that grit?
I believe, this is just my philosophy, is we get the lads maybe once, twice if you're lucky a week at this level, and to try and coach a player with so limited time is pretty much impossible. And that's why I'll go back to what Sweeney just said. If you get a bunch of lads that want to play for each other and have got an element of ability, on a Saturday that will come through at this level. Even like step 4, step 3, the semi-pro teams, maximum 3 times a week, and one of them are going to be a game time. You might have a game on a Tuesday, and then you're going to coach on a Thursday. And it's so difficult to get so much information into these players. I think you can overpower them. I mean, the Causeway team I played for, we had a great togetherness. We had no budget. We was competing with some big budgets, and every training session we just kick the living shit out of each other. Sorry for the language, but we kick each other. And it was because you knew on a Saturday that's exactly how it was going to be. Nobody was going to go, oh, but don't go too hard on him, and that was why we had such a really good team at Causeway. No money at all, just pure lads who wanted to really work hard. And I think the training that we did was the right thing for no money and the limited time that you had at training. And like you said, I do think now, if you went to a club now and just purely said, we ain't going to do no coaching, they'd all look at you and go, what's he on about? And unfortunately, it doesn't always work. I don't think it does.
It's a real eye-opener for me. I hadn't thought about that at this level of the game. I was thinking you guys would go out there for your 1 or 2 sessions a week, and you'd be working on positioning, you'd be working on tactics, you'd be working on inverting fullbacks and all that kind of stuff, and doing a lot of coaching. But you're telling me the coaching element isn't as big as that, because the skill is recruiting players who you've seen either have the potential or are already showing the certain level of skill that you need.
Yeah, you haven't got the time. You'll have, and if you want to coach the back 4, you'll find there's only 2 of the back 4 as a training. And the same with the midfield and the forwards. It's very rare, and I think probably Craig a little bit, but maybe a little bit more when you're actually paying the players, is you don't get everybody there to train. You can't work on any formation because that player's not there. Okay, you can chuck somebody else in just to do the exercise, but why? Because it's pointless, because he won't be in the team on Saturday.
But there must be an element of coaching to it, because I mean, for instance, let me give you an example, right? This will make Sweeny laugh, because he's seen me step onto a football pitch before now. If the line manager rang me up, Richard Ball, and said he's got an injury crisis, Max, can you come and wear the number 4 shirt for us? You wouldn't want for any lack of team spirit from me. I'd be running myself into the ground, probably take me about 6 or 7 minutes, and I'd be lunging in, making challenges, shaking my fists, doing all this. But I don't think any manager would ever have said the team's better for having me in it. So you need some level of coaching.
You have got to have some ability, Max. Craig said that. You have to have some ability. You can have some players who have got all the ability in the world and attitudes not great, or they don't want to mix with the lads. So that kind of player ain't going to be the one that's going to be in the team spirit bit. He'll train, yes, he'll play, but he ain't the one that will back up the lads. And I think I remember that the Causeway team, and the lads were all mates as well, which makes a difference. If you can get a group of lads now who are all mates, it don't matter if clubs come in and say, oh, we'll give you XYZ to come to us. I don't think I can remember anybody in the 4 or 5 years at Causeway that just jumped and went left.
No. Well,
everybody was there. They could finish the season, and I bet 15 of the 16-man squad would be there the next season,
the following season. And that's one of the biggest challenges I found going back into management, is that solely is trying to encourage players that have been playing probably lower down the leagues, but they're in teams where they're enjoying playing with their mates. They've got a good click between them, and they don't even They don't even want me to offer them anything. They've just basically gone, we're happy where we are. Now, that's comes back to you, Sween, where like it's got to be down to this has got to be down to enjoyment as well. At this level, it is down to enjoyment. You've got to enjoy your football. It can't always be about money. And that's definitely been an eye opener for me recently. Is some of the players I have approached, they're just happy with like the football that they're playing with the teams that they're playing. And you can only just say, well, you know, I mean, old Jans would say, fair play, but I ask, where's the drive to play higher? I was always very ambitious to play higher. I wanted to work harder to play higher, to work the levels to get as high as I could. And I think that has gone a little bit now. I think the lower leagues, the step 6 league, I mean, the budgets are good, but they am playing a lower level, but they don't want to leave them clubs. And I have found that like a change for me, because naturally you would want to play higher, wouldn't you, at a higher club?
Why do you think that is? Because it would naturally seem to me as a journalist as well. I would always presume a player would want to try at a higher level, and they often would, and often it wouldn't work out, and they'd come back down. But at least they'd try. I mean, probably we've all got experience of that in different industries. I've had that in journalism. I've tried out at a higher level, not made the grade, and come back down. But I had to try it. Why do you think that's missing now?
I think a lot has to do with travelling as well.
Yeah, massive.
People, they'll say, I don't want the travelling. I don't want to be travelling down to, you know, up to Stoke or over to Leicester and things like that. I'll stay where I am, and that'll be in the West Midland League, where you've got obviously West Midland League clubs, and there's a lot of good players in them leagues, and you wonder why they don't step up. And there's reasons. Maybe they can't train, for one. Maybe they don't want to do the travelling, you know. So
that was always there, wasn't it? That was there decades ago. I mean, maybe it's because there's more levels to the non-league game now, and people are thinking, you know, 30 years ago, maybe they'd think, okay, when you're young, when you're a teenager, it's possible. I can do this. I can do an Ian Wright. I can get up there. I can get up there, you know, out of non-league or Les Ferdinand. Maybe now there's so many levels. If you're at 5 or 6, you think, I'm not getting to the Premier League. Or maybe it's because the teams in the Premier League just don't bring through enough youth. So people see a glass ceiling and think, oh, just play with my
saying that,
mates.
Max, there was a lad who I had with me at AFC Wolverhampton named Jamie Meadows. I don't know if you know what Sweeny knows him, but he went from AFC Wolves, went to Stourport last season, not the season just gone, the season before, and he had a move to Bromsgrove Sporting, and Tamworth Telford have just signed him. So he was at step 5 2 seasons ago, well, 1 season ago, and now he's playing at National League. So but you could tell he wanted to play higher. It didn't matter where it was traveling, what the money was. He wanted to be ambitious. And if you've got that drive, so I just think it's down to the person. I don't think it's down to anything else. It's down to the individual. If he wants to succeed and he wants to go higher, you make them moves. I just think, like Sweeney just said, I just think some people are they're happy with just going, do you know something? I want to turn up on a Saturday and I want to have a game of football.
I mean, you could argue there's nothing wrong with that attitude. That's perspective. You could say, look, instead of putting myself under stress, it's, you know, I've just become a dad again a couple of years ago, less than 2 years ago. And I've always said, you know, with my daughter as well, if she wants to play a sport, play it for fun first. If you're good at it and you want to go further, that's great. Let's do that. But as a parent, you think play it for fun. I mean, isn't that just having a bit of perspective? Thinking you can say it's lack of ambition, but if it's just playing with your mates and letting your hair down, I suppose there's essentially nothing wrong with that.
No, it's just obviously finding that player, because you don't know that when you're approaching these players. You automatically think this player wants to play higher. Surely he wants to better himself. And then you realise, like you just said, he's got family commitments. He just wants to turn up on a Saturday and play with his mates. And that's fine. I always say, like, it's just sometimes it's just a little bit like you've got so much more to give.
Yeah.
I think it's that side of it, like you're playing like 2 levels, 3 levels below your level. It's like a big fish in a little pond, isn't it? Really.
Yeah. It is absolutely.
And for me, it's just like, I don't know. And like I said, it just depends on the person and what person like I am and the way I was. Not everybody's going to be the same as me. I wouldn't want anybody to be the same as me, but it's in my head. I'm always thinking, why wouldn't you want to try yourself at an high level? Because you could surprise yourself and go even higher, like a Jamie Meadows. No way would anybody would have thought at AFC. Would he at 17, 18 that he was going to be playing at Telford now? But just by pure desire and obviously ability, because he's a very good player. He was just a bit young at the time, and I thought he could always play higher, but would he have the mentality for it? And he's been brilliant. Well, he's obviously gone and done that. But so yeah, I get what you're saying. It's just down to the individual. It's just hard for managers to, when they look at a player, they really want him, and then he's like, "No, I'm happy where I am," and I'm like, "All right then." So,
do you both think
as well? It's getting the breaks. Like you could have, there's probably players that Craig's seen and had in his teams, and you think, how come he's not gone and played higher? But if somebody don't come and give him them opportunity, then you can't get that. Can't get that move.
You need a bit of luck.
Yeah, you have to have a little bit of luck. You do.
Does this mean if players are more likely nowadays to stay at maybe a lower level than they could be, does this mean the player churn is less in non-league than it used to be? Because it used to be, you had players coming in, going out. There were 30 years ago, I'm sure even now, people were saying, "Oh, so and so's gone because he just wants another tenner a week or whatever." Is there less of that now?
I think it's probably more. I don't know what Sweeny thinks, but I think the churning of players is more because I think they take it or leave it now.
Yeah.
I think some players just go, if I miss Saturday, it doesn't matter because I can go and play somewhere else next week for somebody else. I don't know what you think, Sweeny, but that's how I look at it now.
The turnover of players is more.
Right.
The turnover of players is.
I totally agree.
So this brings us back to team spirit.
It's what, sorry?
This brings us back to team spirit then. To combat.
It does. Like go back to the causeway. Same 15, 16.
100%. And Dudley Sports, same squad of players. You might have 20 players, but you was never changing every month. You would see, like now you go on a website now and you see that meant 60, 70 players signed. I think there was one club had like 70 players signed. How is that even possible in a season? How can you? And we talk about managing players and managing a team and coaching a team. You tell me, even the elite of coaches would never be able to coach 70 players in a season and try and get them to mould them, even if they had them every single day. We have them twice a week if we're lucky. And that's why the best teams are the teams like, I'll give you a couple of examples. Sweeny, you might agree. Lichfield, I think Ivan used 20. The one season he used like 20 players, and he used some of the players out of his youth team. Dudley Town, Lovett's done a great job there. He's had loads of time. I think they've given him 5 years. I think he'd come into the Midland Football League, and he had a dreadful start. I think he lost about 10 on the bounce, but they stuck with him. And look what now he won. I think he won the League Cup. He's pushing for playoffs. He's got a great. People want to play there, and they haven't even got their own ground yet. And it's all about, like you say, that building up, and whether you can get some consistency, because success doesn't happen overnight. Even at the top level, with a budget of millions and millions, it doesn't happen.
Well, Grant Joshua had a rough spell at Lytown, didn't he? The season when Lye went up, he had a terrible start, and the chairman stuck with him, and the rest is history. Yeah. So, but I guess every manager is going to say they want that. There is a bit more loyalty from the club owners at this level of the game, isn't there? Because they don't want the hassle.
Grant's team on Saturday. I went and watched. They played Coton Green.
Oh yeah, they did. Yeah, they lost 2
in the FA Cup. And it was a great cup tie. It really was a great cup tie. Rugby,
it was a shock, wasn't it? It was a shock, really.
It was, but rugby played the better football. Rugby had most of the possession, but Cotton
Cotton
Green.
Green and rough, didn't they? They're a rough team.
Oh,
They mix it up, don't they?
defended superb. The keeper come and took all the crosses.
Yeah, strong team.
I think they had 3 chances through the game, and they took 2 of them.
Yeah, I played Cotton Green last year. Matty Hunt, I don't know if you know Matty Hunt, the captain. He was at AFC with me. I knew when we went there last year for Bridge North, I said to the lads, look, I'm telling you now, this will be a battle. There's nothing else. There ain't going to be a lot of football played today. It's going to be a pure who wants it more. And
I want to know what our viewers who support Cotton Green think about these comments. But this is great material.
Look, it's a great club.
It was a really good day. They defended great. They worked harder.
Yeah.
Technically, rugby have the better players.
Of course, them league above. They've got a big budget.
But they deservedly, they took the chances and are in the next round.
Was it as entertaining a cup tie as the League Cup final where you were up against Malvern Town and you won the cup?
No, one is exciting.
That's still the best game of best 90 minutes or 120 minutes or 4 hours or whatever it was I've ever seen in my life.
A friend of mine, I haven't seen for. I haven't seen him for 5 years. He phoned me the other week and was talking about the football, and he still says now it's the best game of football he's ever seen in his life.
Me as well, yeah.
For excitement.
Them one-off games you'll never beat, will you? Them one-off games and that atmosphere. I've been involved in some, and people talk about them for years and years, and they'll be spoke about for years and years and years. I don't think that's where non-league is at its best. When you get, like you said, Sweeny, about that one on Saturday, that you've got to remember that's the first ever FA Cup tie for Cotton Green, and they're going to be one of the favourites, I'd say. It's rugby are step 3, aren't they? Step 4, sorry.
Yeah.
Step 3.
Step 4.
I mean,
Step 4.
That's on paper. They've just come up from step 6.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and let's be honest, they won through the playoffs. I mean, they didn't even get automatic promotion. I mean, it's a story that, like I said, that will go down in like you said, Sweeny, it'll go down that road as a really, really big tie, and it'll be.
It was a great. It was a great game. It really was.
I want to ask you both of more. Bring you back to practicalities, because I find it fascinating the insights you've given us about how much time you get to coach players. And because I'm a cheapskate, so my Zoom has got limited time only. Now, if you see something with your team and your setup and you want to change it, you think, right, this formation ain't working, we need to tweak it, or we need to change the tactics a bit. You've told me you don't have that much time with the players, really. How do you go about changing things around that are technical like that are the nuts and bolts of the game? How can you change them if you've only got 2 sessions a week?
Well, if it's obviously during a game, you've had games where you've gone 4-4-2 or 3-5-2, whatever formation you play, and that ain't working. So you say, right, we get 4-3-3, and you just try different things on that day. And you can have a Thursday night where you can, if you can get on the pitch, you can say, right, this is how we're going to play Saturday, and Fred ain't there, who's the centre back. Joe ain't there, who's the right side midfield. So then you put somebody else in. So 9 of the team know, how it is. But everybody knows a formation. Everybody knows. I would have thought everybody knows how to play in a formation.
Mm-hmm.
And it's difficult. You got players on the bench. Sometimes you look at your bench, you go, "How am I going to change it?"
So am I looking at the whole thing from the perspective of professional sides and just thinking about it the wrong way?
No,
you're not ever saying, right, okay, 4-4-2 ain't working in this league. We're going to have to change the complete shape. We're going to have to do different things with the wing back. That doesn't really enter the equation for you guys, is that right? You tinker.
I think personally, it's down to personnel of what kind of players you've got. I mean, I like 3-5-2. But unless you've got two wing backs who can run and
Mhm.
work hard, I mean, it's the best way of getting forward. You've got two strikers, you get your wingers on, you can get your obviously your midfielders getting up there as well. I love it, but you ask your three centre halves to play, and they do always a little bit like, hold on here, that means I'm going to be pulled out to the left, I'm going to be pulled out to the right, and then you've got a winger who's a little bit lazy, and like I said, it all depends on, for me, personnel. I as a manager, I don't know what Sweeney's like, but I always like to try and keep the players in their most comfortable position, because I think as soon as you start asking this level of football to start doing something that's foreign to them, you've turned them to you've took them to a different universe.
Right.
That's
Okay.
my opinion. I think as soon as you start overloading the players with too much information, I've never played there before, or I ain't quite know where to stand on the pitch here. And that's why it comes down to experience as well. Like an experienced player who's, like Sweeney just said, everybody should know where to stand on a football pitch, in what formation, whether it's a 4-4-2, whether it's a 4-3-3, whether it's a diamond, a 4-4 diamond, whether it's a 3-5-2. But you'd be surprised how many people go, where do I stand? Where do you want me to go?
Oh no,
When
I
do you want me to
wouldn't.
press that? And like you said, yeah, you try it on a Thursday. I ain't saying we don't try on it. We don't say we don't try and coach the players on a Thursday and a Tuesday. We do, but it's not that easy to get everything in an hour and a half session. And also, they want to have shooting practice, do set pieces, like you say, get the balls out, have a game at the end. It's just so much to get into such a short space of time. And even pre-season, it's like you said, holidays, a lot of away with the families. You can't say nothing. It's just it is really difficult.
Okay. We're nearly up for time now. It has flown by, so thanks for being on the pod. I want to final question put to Sweeney. Are you going to come back into the game, Sweeney? Maybe director of football, head of data analysis.
I am missing it a bit now. I'm going to watch a few games now, and I'll tell you, I did watch, and I thought was very impressive. Summers,
AFC Summers.
yeah.
Okay.
Was it against Birmingham, AFC Birmingham or something?
No, I watched them against Busselone.
Oh, right, okay.
They beat Busselone, and they were very, very good. And I
They
think
lost Saturday, didn't they? 1-0, was it?
they lost to Red's Nest. No,
I mean, have you
We've got a good story.
have you got an eye on the Stourport job as well, Sweeney?
Well, I had a word with
might be under pressure there.
Yeah. He's Matt says he's got to be playing in a different position. Craig.
Who, Matt Hansen?
Matt Hansen. He said it's where we're working at his house.
You need to tell him to stop having 2 weeks off before the start of the season. Tell him. Who goes on holiday 2 weeks before the start of the season? That's 2 weeks off.
I should be spraying the ball around, like.
On that note, I'm going to bring it in. So watch out, Craig. Sweeney is standing in the wings. Okay, so next week, pressure's on. Listen, thank you both ever so much for joining me. We'll talk again. Hopefully, talk to you both again during the season, probably on the pod. So you're excellent guests, and I'd like to get you back in at some point. But now I'm going to press this button here, which will stop the recording. Max. So let's say ta-da to our viewers. Serie Z, thanks for joining us. See you soon.